Now, I do want to talk about like some of the some of the typical stuff that we see when growing a brand. So in Rocafella, right, they were they were coming up in the age of Diddy, Biggie, right, when they started, right? Um, and so, you know, you always want to try to find a way to get in front of the crowd, right? So when they first started, they were big on like wherever the party is, I'm gonna go. We got the jackets, we got the limos, we're gonna live the lifestyle. You know, Rockefeller was known for the bottles, the champagnes, partying, lifestyle, everything like that, right? But when it came to the music, right, Diddy was killing it with the shiny suits situation. All right, hands down. If anybody remembers that, now they were trying to figure out what is Jay-Z going to do. Did Reasonable Doubt, very successful, but what now with Diddy taking over the airwaves? We need to do a radio hit. What are we going to do? So they created, if anybody remembers, the song called Sunshine, and the video, right, was very colorful, had little fisheye lens. If we weren't going to get blocked, I would show you, but we would get blocked. So does all the fisheye lens. And at that moment, they tried to go with the trend, right? It flopped. It absolutely flopped, right? But after that, they did Streets is Watching. They did Hard Knock Life. You know, they went back to their core. They went back to what works. And Jay-Z learned a very big lesson to where after Sunshine, he didn't do that ever again. He didn't ever mess up his whole creative process. We got a clip of him talking about how he creates music and things like that. So here we go.
Have to figure out. I mean, it's up to the individual to figure out how to slow it down because it's just going faster and faster. Everything is moving, quicker. Information is going quicker. That's an individual thing. I'm not gonna let anybody speed up my process. I don't care what's happening out there. That's the great thing about having ultimate confidence in yourself is it doesn't matter what's happening. I don't care what's happening. I don't care what you're on or this person's on. This is what I like.
So quick backstory. The question, right, was more of everything is about singles now. Everything in this day and age isn't necessarily about an album. Does he feel pressure to put out singles after music after music after music? And he's like, I'm not going with anything that is happening right now. I have full confidence in myself. Moose, like, what is some things that you think of, like knowing how it was built, knowing that little hiccup with Sunshine, and what he's created? I mean, 14 #1 albums.
Yeah.
Sunshine doesn't even seem relevant anymore based off, lessons learned, bow bow, and then I move on, right? What comes to mind when like seeing the process of like, I ain't doing this no more?
Yeah, I think the cool thing is like, yo, you can mess up, and as long as you create and build a great body of work after that, it's the mess up gets buried so far down that nobody really remembers it. Like, to be honest with you, until you brought it up today, I had to kind of stop and think for a moment, like, yo, Sunshine. Oh, right. Like, like it was totally irrelevant.
Right.
I think back to the release of Magna Carta Holy Grail and that partnership with Samsung, right? Like when they sold 1 million copies out the gate. And I'm like, yo, that is such an amazing partnership and just a creative rollout. Because not only is it cool from a musical concept for the audience and his fans, but also from a business standpoint, he sold 1 million albums day one. Pretty much that's what it was like.
Yeah.
And so I think other parts of that, it's like, yo, at some point the mess ups are going to become almost irrelevant as you continue to focus on that. But the beauty of it is he knew what is his way or what is his pace. So I just want to make a quick connection to the flight assessment with this concept, because a lot of people overlook their ground crew category because it's just a pace or it's just a speed. Even whether that's your highest concept or not, It's like that just shows you like that speed is your process. It's your time. It's the tempo you like to flow at. And you can see like he's like, yo, I'm just not gonna let nobody mess up my tempo. If I got it, I'm gonna go with it. You know, and some people only want to speak when they feel inspired and creative. Others have a different tempo, right? So I think that's also important, taking into consideration how that rolls out. But I guess with that in mind, you know, what would you say is maybe the opposite of that? Are there those who, for the pilots, you know, from a pilot personality standpoint,
Yep.
is tempo as important?
No, tempo is not that important to us. The point is if it gets done, right? But the great thing is that we appreciate like sometimes certain things taking its time because we know it's going to be right. Like we may not be able to slow down, but we appreciate when it is slowed down, when it is done correctly, when it is, you know, we're strategically picking it out instead of just like, boom, here it's done, right? And at least for me, I can speak for me, where I think I've been in so many different situations where it needs to be done right now. And though I am that type, I beyond appreciate like, hold up, like let's not go with the moment because we could create our own moment. Right. You know, it doesn't have to be when everybody is looking, we make people look. So I like how Jay-Z thinks because it's more of a long-term kind of vibe than necessarily like, how do I get on the charts right now? How do I stay in people's iPods or, you know, phones or whatever it was at the time? Like, how do I stay in there? He doesn't think about that. He's like, yo, what is going to make my name ring out throughout the years? We have a clip of him kind of talking about that too. So
it's almost like a trend. Would you rather be a trend or you rather be Ralph Lauren?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you rather be a trend or you rather be forever. I'm the person that looked at the Mona Lisa and be like, man, that's gonna be cool in 40 years.
Right.
Right. I play forever.
Right.
I play forever. And so my whole thing is to identify with the truth, not to be the youngest, hottest, new trendy thing.
Hey, hold on. Oh, I'm about to say,
That's
what
a
happened?
bar.
Oh, facts.
That's a bar. I love when he said that. My whole thing is to identify with the truth.
Oh, look, but that's so. This is why Jay-Z can put out an album right now, even though maybe he has no desire to. But he could put an album out right now, and people are going to listen, right? Because he doesn't try to necessarily stay relevant. He just tries to do what he knows best, what he believes in his own talent, right? Because hip hop is always going to change. Hip hop goes from Run DMC kind of vibes to Biggie vibes to mumble rap vibes to crying and auto tune. It's so many different things that happens, and that's like in any culture. But you always have those people that steer the culture in one direction or the next, right? He makes hip hop like authentic. Like he brings it back to knowledge and truth, right? So I can only appreciate how he thinks when it comes to this, because it's like, if you was to do the relevant thing, you would be making money.
Right.
But would you be making the money that, you know, that you have right now? Like, he works on his own time. It's crazy because we were talking before, and we were talking about the Black Album, right? Mm-hmm. So the Black Album, for those people who don't know, right, it is when he retired, quote unquote, right? So he started to feel like hip hop was starting to be a routine. Like once a year, you had to drop an album to stay relevant. And he was like, I don't want to do it, right? I do not want to do it. And he dropped the Black Album. He says, I'm done. But he didn't, not only did he retire because he felt like it was a job or a routine, he actually said, you know what? If I feel this way here, I'm going to try to make hip hop better. I'm going to try to build the culture. And that's when he actually transitioned to the president of Def Jam, right? So when something feels routine, he went and leveled up. He's like, what's next for me? Right? When that happened and he was done with Def Jam, because Def Jam started to feel like, okay, now I just have to find an artist and build the artist and find the artist and build the artist. He said that started to feel like a routine, right? Granted, he got the love back for the music, and so some extra albums came out after that. But that's when he not only became the president of Def Jam, but that's when Roc Nation grew, right? Because that wasn't only just a record label, that was a sports agency, that was a managing kind of thing. There was, what else, Moose, that they had?
Entertainment company, the hospitality group was a part of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, that branch was huge.
Yeah, so what I like, and I think I totally relate to him with that, which makes me almost want to say that he's a pilot, but I'm not going to go that far just yet, right? Yeah. Is I don't want to stay in one place too long because then it feels like a chore. I'm out to do something bigger, right? Then even with, okay, music is cool, but how could I help the culture, period? Like, how can I help what is going on in the world? You know, he didn't sit and just say, I'm a rapper, and I'm just going to stay within the rapper mold. Like, he became everything that had to deal with hip-hop. He did it.